What's good, YouTube? It's supposed to with and build about with another banger. And today we're gonna be reacting to beloved musicians who weren't good people. Man, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I have no idea what some of these celebrities did. So with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Let's do it.
Recently, I was watching a video called Great People Who Weren't Good People, about people like Gandhi, Steve Jobs, and Martin Luther King, who all had major flaws. Which got me thinking, are there any musicians who most people love that were actually bad people? And very quickly, I realized that you and I were in for quite the ride. So join me today as we look into great musicians who weren't the greatest people. Everyone knows Elvis, and there's no denying his impact on music history, so there's really no introduction needed here. But what a lot of people don't know is that he had some much darker sides of his life, many of which were shown in his 2022 biopic, which I thought was a bad movie, by the way. I wasn't a fan at all. Why was Doja Cat on that soundtrack? I don't get it. Regardless, his dark side might be a little shocking, especially since it kind of flips the charming image of Elvis that many of us have into something much more sinister. First of all, Elvis notoriously met his wife Priscilla when she was only 14 years old, and this was in 1959 during his time in the army while stationed in Germany.
Wait. Talking about. He was 18 or what? He was 18, 17. No, he was 18. He may have. It was wartime. You had to at least be 18. Had to be. He had to have been 18, right? There's no way he was in his 30s or 20s or late 20s or something. Please. Don't
At that point, he was already 24,
better,
so not only was there a 10-year age gap.
Yikes. Nah, what's crazy is 18's not any better. But, my nigga, that shit's better than fucking 24, my nigga. Damn, 10 years? But again, some of y'all grandparents are probably like 20 years apart, bro. Probably more than that.
But it was especially disturbing. Despite the disgusting age difference, this didn't stop Elvis from making some questionable advances, and it didn't end there. Elvis and Priscilla officially decided to pursue a relationship, which eventually went long distance when he returned back to the States. After leaving Germany, the two didn't see each other face to face until 3 years later in 1962. They started talking regularly over the phone, and then in 1967, when she was 22, Elvis married her. To make matters worse, throughout the already unethical and illegal relationship, Elvis was never really exclusive and constantly cheated on her, which led to their 1973 divorce.
I just kind of followed, what he did. I mean, you lived his life. You honestly didn't have your own life. You lived his life.
But Elvis's tirades didn't end there, specifically because Priscilla was far from the only underage girl he had his eyes on. During the height of his fame, Elvis abused his power to manipulate young, impressionable fans wherever he went on tour. Joel Williamson, author of Elvis Presley: A Southern Life, claimed that 2 years before Elvis met his future wife, he took a group of 3 14-year-old girls with him on tour who were up for pillow fights, tickling, kissing, and cuddling. And you might think that the fame and the money and the power and the drugs corrupted him, but apparently Elvis was always kind of weird. Back when he was 19, before the musical success, Williamson said elsewhere in his book that Elvis had a 15-year-old girlfriend when he was 19, and that the singer was obsessed with virginity. And his issues with women aren't just about their age, because he also seemed to treat them pretty poorly. Elvis was a manipulator who was extremely controlling, and his abuse wasn't just mental, and he'd often resort to violence. He met Ginger Alden when she was 20 and he was 41. She was a pageant queen hoping to marry the star, but their relationship had some pretty problematic roots. His treatment of her was horrible, and the couple constantly argued during their time together. After one particularly bad fight,
we kind of knew Elvis wasn't all that great, man. We've heard the stuff about him. You know what I'm saying? We heard all of that already, man. Not everything that I'm seeing now, but I've heard rumors on him dating younger girls. You know what I'm saying? Like younger girls, like those 14 allegations. Yeah, I've heard about that shit. That's crazy.
Elvis allegedly asked one of his assistants to pop the tires on her car so she couldn't leave his home. And on another occasion, when she was able to drive away after a fight, it was alleged that he fired a gunshot at her. While the two were engaged to be married, their toxic relationship never quite made it that far. And resorting to violence was something that Priscilla had to deal with as well. In her 1985 memoir, Priscilla detailed a bunch of problematic behaviors from Elvis. She described instances where he would give her pills to help her sleep or relax. But in retrospect, many have started to speculate if the pills were all a part of his his master plan of control and manipulation. Some reports even go as far to claim that Elvis spiked Priscilla with amphetamines to keep her awake for marathon sex sessions. Apparently, he was first introduced to amphetamines in the military and he became severely addicted. And after these drug-fueled sex sessions, Elvis is also said to have taken photographs on a Polaroid camera, which he stored in a silver suitcase delivered to Priscilla after his death, years after their divorce, which is a very weird move to say the least. On top of all of the years photographs on a Polaroid, for these drug-fueled sex sessions, Elvis is also said to have taken photographs on a Polaroid camera, which he stored in a silver suitcase delivered to Priscilla after his death, years after their divorce, which is a very weird move to say the least. On top of all of this, Elvis also had some pretty rough racism allegations. More recently, legendary producer Quincy Jones revealed that he always refused working with Elvis because he was racist. Quincy explained, "No, I wouldn't work with him. I was writing for orchestra leader Tommy Dorsey, oh god, back in the 50s, and Elvis came in, and Tommy said, I don't want to play with him."
So my boy is not only a PDF guy file, let me say that, PDF file, he's also a racist. But hey man, I don't even listen to Elvis really. I just know that one song that everybody know.
He was a racist motherfucker. I'm gonna shut up now. And depictions of Elvis being racist don't only come from Quincy either. Public Enemy's Fight the Power includes lyrics which read, "Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant shit to me. Straight up racist that sucker was, simple and plain." On top of this, he undeniably had some big appropriation issues. I mean, it's pretty well known that he sort of just stole his sound. And in combination with everything else we do know for sure about the content of his character, I don't think anyone would be all that surprised if that was the case. And it may not be too surprising to hear that a white guy like Elvis back then was racist, but I was in disbelief when I heard allegations of James Brown being racist too. James Brown was a legendary musician who arguably trailblazed the funk music genre and influenced countless others throughout his career. His successes have led to a bunch of nicknames like Mr. Dynamite, the hardest working man in show business, Minister of New Super Heavy Funk, the Godfather of Soul, the King of Soul, and many more. And let's be honest, to have that many dope nicknames, you've got to be pretty iconic. In his over 50-year-long career, James Brown completely changed music, but his massive success wasn't without controversy. This Redditor puts it plainly saying, "I love James Brown, but he was an awful human." And this sentiment isn't really all that rare either, with some fans twisting one of his most iconic nicknames into the hardest working asshole in show business. While James' music and lyrics are undeniably and crucially connected to progress and civil rights, apparently his relationship to the black people he touched most directly, those who worked for him, was cruel, petty, and contemptuous. Relationship and lyrics iconic nicknames into the hardest working asshole in show business. While James' music and lyrics are undeniably and crucially connected to progress and civil rights, apparently his relationship to the black people he touched most directly, those who worked for him, was cruel, petty, and contemptuous. Some former employees, like journalist Glenn Ford, even go as far to say that Mr. Brown held only one black person in high regard, himself. According to Glenn Ford, I guess James Brown was moving like Uncle Ruckus. To be fair though, this is the only source that I'm seeing claim this, so take the racist allegations he has with a grain of salt, but it is true that Glenn worked for him and he was a respected journalist, so it could be very possible. Which again is quite shocking to hear from many fans, especially considering the often direct titles of his songs, like his 1968 hit, "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." However, like I mentioned with takes from some critics, while James lifted up black Americans en masse, those around him definitely had a very different experience. Glenn said that when James was around, his employees were often expected to treat him in a near godlike way, having a whole welcoming ritual planned every time he arrived. On top of this, if each employee didn't speak formally to each other, like with Mr., Mrs., or Miss, it was a fireable offense. And it wasn't just lower members of his organization that felt extreme pressure. Even members of his band faced wild punishments, including things like mowing the lawn at his radio stations to pay off fines imposed by James. During a civil rights
I mean, you could tell, but look at him. You could tell he's on this little, you feel me? Nigga, your ass better, you feel me? Bring in that money or your ass gonna have to do some work. And you could tell he had money to make shit happen. I'm not gonna count. He don't look like a nigga that played, especially them old heads from back then. Oh my God. Them niggas is not, they do not play.
a boycott
They do
in his
not
adopted
play.
hometown of Augusta, Georgia, where he also owned a major radio station that Glenn worked at, there were some weird decisions that were made. Glenn stated that while James donated $600 to the bail fund, his efforts behind the scenes painted a completely different picture. On day one of the boycott, Glenn was set to promote it as one of the main mouthpieces of support, but James left a note around his microphone that he saw the next morning that said, "There will be no mention of the downtown merchants boycott on this radio station." This order kind of killed the movement, and one that James' employees believes was intentional, choosing advertisers over his own people. Again, this chunk of information is mostly from Glenn Ford, so take it all with a grain of salt, but it is very fascinating if true. And it might not be too hard to believe considering the other wrongdoings he's been accused of. James Brown was known to have abused drugs and alcohol throughout his life, which led to even worse abuses of his own wives and partners, which has been well documented. With James' first wife, Velma Warren, not much has been publicly documented about his treatment of her. With his second wife, Deirdre Jenkins, James' daughters described a hellish relationship. They described the abuse like thunder rolling through the house when their mom was thrown against walls. Then when silence came was the worst part, as the daughters wondered if it meant their own mom was killed. In one graphic scene, they describe witnessing James on top of their mom with punching her hard with blood everywhere. And these are only a couple of the alleged stories. With James' third wife, Adrienne Rodriguez, similar allegations were mentioned. Adrienne reported that on one occasion, James beat her with an iron pipe and even shot at her car, which led to his arrest in 1988, and similar circumstances leading to 3 other arrests for assault as well.
Man, I'm telling you, these old heads is crazy. I don't know what type of shit they was doing back then, bro. I swear when old heads talk about their past, they be talking like it was just like all sunshine and rainbows. Probably like going outside and living life was different. But nigga, the people were horrible. The people were horrible, bro. Like these people, I would say the newer generations are more chill when it comes to this shit. Like, nah, you don't see niggas really popping out. Yeah, you got the occasional niggas that will sit here, beat on women and shit like that. But for the most part, I mean, not really. Nowadays, not as much. Not as much. Or I may be missing something.
And then to clear up the air, he decided to do this really entertaining interview.
How did all of this trouble begin?
Living in America. There's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong at all. You're not in any difficulty, but you're out on bond.
No, I'm not.
Have all the charges been dropped?
Yeah, I'm out on love. Alone from night to night, you find me.
Now, James, this isn't the first time you and your wife have had a problem. Are
That
the
nigga
two
on
of you
some
going to be able
drugs,
to work
man.
this out?
Let's talk about some music.
You want to talk about music, and you don't want to talk about what happened.
No, it's all over.
Well, let's talk about your tour. When are you leaving?
Things got so bad that around the 1995 arrest, Adrienne was hospitalized, but the charges were dropped since that next year she passed away from surgery complications, which of course also spawned a bunch of conspiracies. Then comes his fourth wife, Tommy Heine, who again had some dark relations with James. She alleged that on one occasion James pushed her to the floor and threatened her with a chair, which led to an arrest, and he actually even pled guilty / no contest, but instead of any jail time, James was only slapped with a fine. And abusive patterns like these were reported by other girlfriends of James as well, making it seemingly unlikely that all of the spouses could just be going for money. On top of all these horrible actions, James was also accused of in 2005 when his former publicist Jacques Hollander filed a lawsuit against him, all stemming from a 1988 incident where Jacques alleges he assaulted her while holding her at shotgun point. But since the case was brought up beyond the statute of limitations and other legal reasons, it was dismissed. So with all these reported mistreatments of employees, spouses, and everyone in between, it's safe to assume James Brown probably wasn't the best guy. But James Brown is only one person, as it's pretty crazy to think about the fact that 2 of the Beatles were both abusive. John Lennon and Ringo Starr are
I'm not gonna lie, all these niggas is, bro, like, mind you, all of their shit is abusive things, bro. I'm not gonna lie. So far, all of their shit has been abusive, either, sexual assault, or it's on some PDF bullshit. Like, you feel me? It's not normal shit. Again, back then, bro, these niggas were wild. If you look at all the serial killers, bro, they're all from the 19-somethings. All of them were born in 19-something. Name a current serial killer or a crazy man now. That was born in the 2000s. Besides these weird ass school shooters. What serial killer that was just going out doing it? I mean, that's the same shit.
are
I'm
both
tripping.
some of the biggest musicians in the
But they're
world
well
and are
known,
most
though.
notably
The
members
motherfuckers
of
in
the
the
Beatles.
19-something.
John in particular got a massive amount of love from fans, and he's remembered especially because of his tragic murder. And because of this, many people sort of forget about the darker side of his legacy, which is honestly a little bit surprising because he doesn't seem to really hide it too much in his music. In his song Getting Better, John openly sings about being a neglectful and even abusive husband and father. The lyrics read, "I used to be cruel to my woman, I beat her and kept her apart from the things that she loved." And this wasn't a one-off mention either. In John's most comprehensive interview, which was conducted with Playboy in 1980, right before his death, he said, "All that I used to be cruel to my woman, I beat her and kept her apart from the things that she loved, was me. I used to be cruel to my woman, and physically, any woman. I was a hitter. I couldn't express myself and I hit. I fought men and I hit women. That is why I am always on about peace, you see? It is the most violent people who go for love and peace. Everything's the opposite, but I sincerely believe in love and peace. I'm a violent man who has learned not to be violent and regrets his violence. I will have to be a lot older before I can face in public how I treated women as a youngster." And John spoke in many other occasions about his past violence, detailing his issues with alcohol and how it made him violent to the point where he thought he almost killed those he fought on multiple occasions. To be as objective as possible, I don't think John hit women like super regularly. At least that's the argument I see his fans making. But hitting women in general is wrong, and I think we can all agree on that. Many of these controversies are scattered throughout his discography, like with the earlier mentioned songs and more, including The Ballad of John and Yoko and Cold Turkey, where he discussed his life and struggles with heroin.
I know a couple
And instead
niggas
of
that
hiding
look
his
like this now. I've seen I don't know a couple. I've seen a couple niggas that look like this now on me. This shit right here, Asmon Gold.
It's interesting that he instead
That's
chose to
Asmon
sing
Gold
about
right
them.
there,
In a similar
man.
situation, fellow Beatle Ringo Starr is also guilty of being abusive. After drinking too much and cheating on his first wife Maureen regularly, he got divorced. He even referred to himself as a drunk, a wife beater, and an absent father. After they were divorced, he eventually remarried to a lady named Barbara. There are very few sources except for one book on this, so again, take this with a grain of salt, but it seems to be common knowledge among Beatles fans, especially on Reddit. Regardless, in a book by Andrew Grant Jackson called Still the Greatest, The Essential Songs of the Beatles' Solo Careers, the author writes, "By the late 1980s, Starr was blacking out often and getting violent. He later said, I came to one Friday afternoon and was told by the staff that I had trashed the house so badly they thought there had been burglars. And I'd trashed Barbara so badly they thought she was dead. Eventually he sobered up and remained with her, but this trend that many of these artists have of getting high or drunk and then hitting their wives is pretty crazy to me. Never once have I been on any substance and felt the need to hit my girl, so I don't think there's really any justifying this, as some diehard fans may suggest. And for a lot of these people, a lot of these incidents were towards the end of their careers, so it's tough to say how successful they would have been had these allegations come out sooner. But Dr. Dre, despite there being a mound of evidence for him being abusive, somehow managed to become one of the few billionaires to come from hip-hop. Dr. Dre is among many of the most recognizable names in hip-hop, and this is for multiple reasons, including his involvement with Beats Headphones, Death Row Records, NWA, and plenty of other massive projects. The point is, we all know who Dr. Dre is to a degree, but what I guess most people don't seem to know is his dark side. Throughout his long, multi-decade spanning career in the music industry, Dr. Dre has been accused of multiple incidents of violence against women. In 1991, at a music industry party, Dr. Dre assaulted television host Dee Barnes following an episode of her show Pump It Up. In the episode, Dee interviewed NWA as well as Ice Cube separately, where he kind of proceeded to mock NWA. This upset Dr. Dre, so for some reason he approached Dee, the interviewer, picked her up by her hair and ear, then proceeded to slam her head and body into the wall. When she fell to the ground, he continued kicking her in her ribs and stomping on her fingers. As she tried to escape, she went to the bathroom, but Dre kicked open the door and struck her multiple times in the back of the head. For even more context, she was 5'3" and Dr. Dre's 6'1", so kind of crazy. As a result, Dee filed a $22 million lawsuit against Dre. He was also fined, given 2 years of probation, ordered to undergo 240 hours of community service, and was forced to speak out against violence on TV. While the suit was settled out of court, Dre's response to the situation was pretty shocking. Instead of apologizing, he said, "People talk all this shit, but you know, somebody f***ed with me, I'm gonna f*** with them. I just did it, you know? Ain't nothing you can do now by talking about it. Besides, it ain't no big thing. I just threw her through a door." But
Again, bro, I don't even mean to be pausing this shit, bro. You can't tell me these niggas ain't wild, bro. I swear, like, the abuse scale that they used to go on, they used to take, the path that they used to take on the abuse scale is just like, they actually trying to, like, I'm talking about off somebody. Like, they want to take this person's head off. Like, how are you married to somebody, you with somebody, and you find it within yourself to want to remove this person from earth? How? Bro, like, how are you 6'1" in a 5'3", 5'4" woman, you're beating on this woman to like, can't she, like, bro, she can't even defend herself up against that shit. Strength wise, she can't even defend unless she get a quick shot to the nuts. That's like 30 seconds, 40 seconds of escape time. That's it. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, she can't do shit. She can't do nothing. Oh my God, hold on.
Dre's abuse of women didn't end there. Later on in 2015, Michelle, the mother of one of his kids, accused him of domestic violence during their time together, but did not take legal action. Unlike Dre's incident with Dee, his abuse of Michelle lasted years while they were together. According to Michelle, it resulted in 5 black eyes and a bunch of other scars throughout her body.
So you were getting punched in the face?
Oh, I was getting dragged on the floor, shot at, yeah.
Oh,
shot at?
That voice.
And I guess I don't know what I always did. And I always say, well, it could have been just me. So
Nah, something had to have happened to cause her voice to do that, bro. Like, her voice is kind of... If it's something that happened, if it's because of Dr. Dre, you know, doing this shit and causing her to mess up her voice pipe or whatever, then, you feel me, I can look past it. But if this is just how she normally speaks, I'm sorry, but that voice is annoying. It's annoying.
one day one night we was arguing, he went and got the gun, and I just made it through the bathroom door and he shot at me and he missed me by that much.
Abusive patterns like this caused Michelle to leave on multiple occasions, but they always seemed to get back together. All the while, his assaults continued, and on top of that, he was constantly cheating to the point where he got multiple other women pregnant. And adding another layer, Michelle was dating Dre when he attacked Dee, which is just insane. However, the run of abuse doesn't end there, as another one of Dre's baby mamas, Lisa Johnson, stated that Dre beat her many times, including while she was pregnant, and eventually she was granted a restraining order against him. In combination with the other accusations, former label mate Terry B claimed Dre assaulted her at a party as well in response to one of her tracks. Eventually, the accusations started to get so big that Dre had to address them. So he did so during his press run for Straight Outta Compton. He said, "I made some fucking horrible mistakes in my life. I was young, fucking stupid. I would say all the allegations aren't true, but some of them are. Those are some of the things that I would like to take back. It was really fucked up, but I paid for those mistakes, and there's no way in hell that I will ever make another mistake like that again." And he would repeat this sentiment for years in following interviews, but it was received with little sincerity from those he abused. Unlike Dr. Dre, though, XXXTentacion's violent allegations were part of what fueled his rise. I mean, he was bragging about fighting the Migos at his peak.
The Migos, straight up.
I heard about Migos. I mean, I heard about X
Y'all need
Pass,
the
man.
chance to kill me. How you have fire and ain't shoot me? Quavo, Offset. Fuck that pussy. What's it called? Lift off.
Man, rest.
Lift off. Fuck all y'all pussy ass.
No,
all y'all.
So it's no
rest in peace, X. But man, hearing this video now, even when Takeoff is gone, whoo, boy, oh my God, boy, I ain't know, cat, that shit hurt me. Takeoff, favorite Migo, man, favorite Migo. That shit hurt, bro.
Surprised that X had a very troubled past before his untimely death. XXXTentacion had one of the fastest rises to the mainstream that we've seen in a while, and while his run lasted pretty short because of his murder, he amassed a large cult following that even through his public controversies stood by him. So X has been in a ton of controversies, so I'm gonna try to get the main ones out of the way, but there's a lot here, so I may miss a thing or two. First though is his juvenile issues, because before turning 18, he had charges for drugs, break-ins, theft, gun possession, and was even fined $86 for attempting to commit suicide by running into oncoming traffic. But these are far from the worst things he was accused of doing. In 2016, Ski Mask got into an argument with Tables, which was his and X's manager at the time. Ski stormed out and later called X while drunk and lied, telling him that Tables had taken thousands of dollars from X. Later in the day, X and some others broke into Tables' apartment. He then proceeded to threaten Tables with a knife, and by some accounts, accidentally stabbed him during the confrontation. Then X and his crew left, taking Tables' laptop with him. Surprisingly, Tables said he would drop all the charges as long as the laptop was returned, claiming he didn't want to ruin X's life over one bad decision. And Tables kept his word, and X paid for all Tables' hospital bills, so I guess they were good. Days after being released on bail from the stabbing, X was arrested and charged with robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, and home invasion, all from an incident which took place the year prior. During the incident, X allegedly pistol whipped the homeowner 3 times and left with an iPad and
Bro, now that I think of it, bro, like most of these people, they're unstable, but they have talents. I don't know why unstable people always have talents, bro. I'm confused. Like X, you could tell the nigga's unstable as shit. He just cannot stay away from shit. You could tell Elvis was unstable as hell. James Brown was unstable as hell. The nigga from the Beatles, unstable as hell. All these niggas are unstable as fuck. But they all had a talent, bro. And that's crazy. So it's just crazy niggas have talents, huh? That's the new thing, bro. Crazy niggas have talents. New thing.
iPhone, a Sony PSP, and $20. In the end, X pleaded no contest and was
You got
sentenced
a
to a whopping
crazy-ass
6
friend,
years of probation.
he's
And
the
then
one that's
came
gonna
the
make it
more
out the
serious
hood.
issues. While awaiting trial in early October of the same year, X was arrested again later that month on charges of aggravated battery of a pregnant woman, domestic battery, and false imprisonment. While at first this relatively hadn't blown up into that big of a story, things changed a lot after Pitchfork leaked the testimony of the alleged victim. X pled not guilty and even denied the allegations in multiple interviews, but the details were scathing nonetheless. The victim delivered over 2.5 hours of testimony, which resulted in 142 pages of transcription describing the dark patterns of abuse. If you're a fan of X, you're very familiar with this story, and you probably debate whether or not this actually happened, so I'll try to cover this as objectively as possible. Apparently, the two met at one of X's shows, and soon after, he invited her to live with him. The first instance of alleged abuse occurred about 2 weeks after she moved in, when he slapped her and broke her phone because she complimented a male friend. Later that day, X left the room and returned with 2 grilling implements, a barbecue pitchfork and a barbecue cleaner, and told her to pick between them because he was going to put one of them in her vagina. She chose the fork. He told her to undress. He was lightly dragging the tool against her inner thigh when she passed out. He did not penetrate her with it. Following that initial incident, X began his pattern of violence toward her, and when the couple moved to Orlando, he apparently threatened to kill her almost every day. After one
I was about to say, I thought Buddy was about to get this stabbing and shit, boy. Oh my God. Boy, yo, X, you almost scared me, buddy.
occasion of her humming one of X's friend's verses, he headbutted her, punched her, stomped her, and put her in the bathtub where he continued hitting and kicking her. And she added on, he also wanted to cut out my tongue because I was singing the song. She attempted to flee down the street, but he tackled her, all in all causing her black eyes, a lump on the back of her head, scratch marks and bruises, including a large bruise on her ankle where he stomped her. Throughout their relationship, she alleged that X had broken about 30 plastic clothes hangers on her legs, tried cutting her hair, and even attempted drowning her in the bathtub. Then, while X was in jail for separate charges, she hooked up with another guy and X was upset, obviously. He confronted her about it and proceeded to put a knife to her neck, strangled her, and called her a hoe. Occasions like this apparently happen regularly, with the same disgusting behaviors being repeated over and over again. Apparently, it got really bad when he found out she was pregnant, threatening to kill her and the kid, and beating her to the point where her face was almost unrecognizable. For a little bit, he allegedly held her captive until one night she escaped. Throughout this whole saga of all these accusations against him, X also continued doing PR moves like donating $100,000 to domestic violence causes, and even tried to host an event to support victims, but the whole actual legal trial was extremely complex for a lot of reasons, including public pressure for multiple petitions to free X, and even the victim asking for charges to be dropped and declining to testify. Eventually, after his murder, she still maintained that she didn't want him to receive jail time, and X's lawyer claimed that if X hadn't died and saw the trial through, the worst he'd get is probation. There were also phone calls to his mom that were released after his death where he declined doing everything he was accused of, and the situation was even more complicated when Pitchfork wrote about a secret recording where X allegedly confessed to domestic abuse and other violent crimes.
On October 23rd, 2018, new audio surfaced with the late rapper XXXTentacion admitting to committing multiple violent crimes and threatening to kill his ex.
Until I started her up, bro.
How the hell did he begin this?
Because she made one mistake, and then from there, the whole cycle went down. Now she's scared. That girl is scared for her life.
Later, he says, I will kill that bitch if she play with me.
The issue is, though, because of the editing of the audio clips, it was kind of hard to tell what X really meant with some of the statements he made. However, a bit before the audio was leaked, a Snapchat video of X beating on a girl when he was 15 dropped. His lawyer claimed the video was in jest and not an actual act of aggression, but it made the accusations look a lot more credible than they already were. And since when X died, the case was closed, it's hard to fully validate all of these allegations, but I remember being a fan of his back then, and from what it seemed like, it was true to an extent, and it was kind of hard to rationalize back then, so I feel like probably the same situation now. And while X was a crazy guy all around, Rick James seemed pretty cool and normal until he got some drugs in his system. Rick James was a massively popular singer, songwriter, and record producer. His long career in music was very iconic, with a bunch of albums going gold, and even his Project Street songs going platinum. And if off the top of your head you can't think of a Rick James song, you've definitely heard his hit song.
And you know what's crazy? What's crazy about the old heads is they try to come on and talk about, oh yeah, the new age guys dress all gay and blah blah blah. And then you look at the old shit that they was wearing. Look at this shit. Look at this.
Super Freak, which surprisingly didn't be iconic with a bunch of
look at
popular
this.
goes at his peak.
Amigos, straight up.
Oh shit, I went
That
too
even
far
through his
back.
public gun possession and was even ex
my
beating
fault,
on a
yeah,
girl
my
when he
fault.
was until MC Hammer sample. And if off the top,
That shit right there. That is horrendous.
James
drip.
was a massively popular singer, songwriter, and record producer. His long career in music was very iconic, with a bunch of albums going gold, and even his project Street Songs.
Like, y'all, please. Please, bro. And they say we be dressing. Oh yeah, a lot of niggas now is gay. And we dress gay and sweet and shit. But then you look at shit like this and then you're like, bro, I know y'all not talking. I just know y'all not talking. These is I'm talking about skin tight, high heel boots. Nigga, what? I swear I could have sworn I seen a girl wear this shit before. I've seen women wear this shit. And they're gonna go back and say, we're the sweet ones. I swear, old heads are just haters, bro.
Going platinum. And if off the top of your head you can't think of a Rick James song, you've definitely heard his hit song Super Freak, which surprisingly didn't win a Grammy, at least until MC Hammer sampled the beat and made his own hit with Can't Touch This. However, one thing about Rick that was, but might not be very well known anymore, is that he suffered from addiction with many different drugs. And these drug habits in turn led to a bunch of erratic occasions and even hospitalizations.
I was off into drugs then at that time, seriously. And it was like a time in my life when things were happening real fast and I didn't quite have a serious grip on, on things.
To make matters worse, he had a stroke because of a blood vessel bursting during one of his shows, and then he had a hip replacement surgery, which was in part because of jumping around on stage, and probably because of his substance abuse as well. And this intense drug addiction created problems in more areas of his life than just health. During his era of heavy cocaine usage for about 5 years straight, Rick claims to have spent about $7,000 a week on the drugstore alone. And this rampant drug use inevitably led to a decent amount of crimes as well.
It was a month ago yesterday that Rick James was arrested along with his girlfriend Tanya Hijazi for allegedly imprisoning a 24-year-old woman in his Hollywood Hills home, torturing her allegedly with a hot cocaine pipe and forcing her to commit sexual acts on his girlfriend Tanya Hijazi.
During a binge that lasted around a week, Rick and his girl at the time were arrested on charges of kidnapping a 24-year-old girl and holding her hostage for around 6 days. During this time, they tied her up, forced her to do sexual acts, and burned her legs and abdomen with the hot end of a crack pipe.
According to police, the 25-year-old alleged victim claims she met Rick James and his female companion at a party. She says the trio then returned here to James' Hollywood home. It was on the nights of July 16th and 17th that alleged victim claims she became a virtual prisoner here, held at gunpoint, even tied up and tortured, she claims, by being burnt with the hot end of a crack cocaine pipe.
Because of all of these crazy things, Rick was facing life in prison. But instead of taking these charges seriously, a year later, while out on bail, him and his girlfriend kidnapped another girl. The person they kidnapped was a music executive who believed there was a business meeting going down. Following the ordeal, she claimed throughout the 20-hour period that she was held hostage and that Rick and his girl continuously beat her. Eventually, James was found guilty on both occasions, but somehow narrowly avoided the torture charge, which would have been the one that put him away for life. While serving a 5-year sentence, Rick lost a civil suit against the music executive he kidnapped and was forced to pay her almost $2 million. And after serving just 2 years, Rick James was released. In years following arguably the peak of his criminal activity, Rick was accused twice more of sex-related crimes, one of which was with a 15-year-old girl, and Rick was being sued for $50 million. But he did end up beating both cases. Then though, at just 56 years old, Rick was found dead in his home due to supposedly natural causes, although it's kind of hard to see what is so natural about his official death because he did have a lot of drugs in his system. However, the coroner surprisingly said that none of the drugs or drug combinations were found to be at levels that were life-threatening in and of themselves. So it's a shame that Rick dealt with so much drug addiction because of the harm that it ended up causing so many other.
And again, these old heads want to say that a lot of young niggas and stuff be in the drugs and all this other stuff and shit like that. But then you look at shit, some of these shits I've never even heard of. Like, I've never heard of some of these shits. This one, yes. This, hell nah. This, hell nah. Never. Never, 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 never. These niggas is basically fucking, I don't know.
If you like this video, you might like my video about some music videos that were extremely controversial.
Man, bro, like, I'm not gonna lie, bro. And then you look at the shit that they're doing, bro. You put all that, you mix all of that together, and then you see the shit that they're doing, bro. You see everything that they're doing. They're taking, bro, the crimes they're committing is crazy as shit. It's like, oh yeah, he took her, he slammed her head in the fridge, then he pulled her out, dumped her head in water, and then he stabbed her a couple times, and then he pulled her back out, then he woke her back up, slapped her a couple times, and now she's awake, then he charged her, and bro, it's just like, he just sat here and electrocuted her and all types of shit. Like, bro, what? Bro, what? What are we talking? What? Bro, are you dead serious? Bro, that's crazy, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. But hey man, that's the end of the video. If y'all like the video, like, comment, subscribe, hit that post notification button if y'all want to stay updated on the next video. Let me know in the comment section down below what y'all think, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.